Good day, world. Welcome to Be in the Moment. We're here having a bit of a pret a manger, with our HP sauce here in London, live from the London Blockchain Conference. I'm here with Manifestival and Randy. Hey, how you doing, guys?
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Oh, I forgot. We need to use the microphone.
Wow, that would help.
So, let's see. Brett, I saw you last night at the party. That was at the Drake and Morgan.
Yeah.
And what was most momentous about that event?
Well, as soon as you get back in, you kind of forget. It's been about 6 months since I did a real big BSV event, and you sort of like, you forget the energy that's in these buildings, and you walk back in and it just instantly pops you open. Like it's unbelievable. Everyone is all united around the shared vision of data security, scalable blockchain, frictionless payments, and how we can use that to empower each other and to empower ourselves.
That's right. Jiao. Yes, and Randy, you've been busy up in NYC, attending many events, hosting many events, and most recently in El Salvador.
Yeah, I was down in El Salvador, but actually most recently Miami. I was just at the Miami 2023 event, and there was no BSV represented there this year. Unfortunately, I didn't do an event. However, it is like night and day. The communities down there, they're just talking about price. Everything's about price, and they're not trying to make it any better than it already is. I mean, they have the lightning, but I mean, I don't think that really scales. We saw with the Ordinals clogged up Bitcoin and transactions ground to a halt. And it's like night and day. So I got in a flight, didn't get any sleep, and here I am.
For
And
you.
welcome to London. Yes, just for you, right here, right now. Hello, Ray at Kitty Treats on Twitter. We see you watching and we send you our love. Wish you were here. So, Ray will be dropping the launch of her Molly Match NFT game on June 22nd. So, definitely go to mollymatch.com. It'll be integrated with our hand cash wallets and we can start minting our own mollies. Yes, and so Randy, did you see Udi, the Udi Werthemeister guy? What's his name? Udi Werthemeister. He's in the wizard costume, and he was at the BTC conference and gave a speech about ordinals.
So I saw a bunch of wizards there. Okay, I didn't really catch that speech. I caught Kennedy's speech. I caught some of Michael Saylor's speech.
No way. Tell us about it. What was Kennedy? Kennedy from Fox News?
No, Kennedy, like the candidate Kennedy.
Oh, right. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes. Yeah, he was actually really, really good. I met Kyle Kemper outside, who's Justin Trudeau's brother. And he was selling Kennedy hats, and I got one of the Kennedy hats signed by him. Yes. And yeah, Kennedy actually gave a really good speech about, how he thought everybody had the right to hold their own Bitcoin, and because they're trying to push for custody wallets and a lot of weird stuff. I'm always pushing that Bitcoin is free speech because it's code. And if you say it's worth something, it's worth something. But if you don't say it's worth something, it's just code. So how can you even put regulation against code when it's just a communication? That's only value is what people believe it to be in. If I don't believe it has value, how can you say it's money? How can you regulate it like it's money? So I don't view Bitcoin as money. I view it as code, first and foremost.
Wow. So would you say code is law, like that slogan?
No, I'm saying that code is not regulatable under the Constitution of the United States of America because the right to free speech, the First Amendment, protects communication.
Ah, interesting.
So I know that a lot of Bitcoiners from over across the pond over here, they talk about regulation and stuff. And I've had arguments with one of the top guys in Bitcoin saying that this is all well and great. However, in the United States of America, we have the right to free speech, and that includes code. If I want to say A, B, C, D, E, F, that might be my brain wallet's address for a Bitcoin communication. That might be $1 million. And if I can't transmit it, or if they're trying to put any kind of regulation against transmission of Bitcoin, it's against the First Amendment.
Wow. So it was a real political conference then, it sounds like. Brett, were you there in Miami as well?
Not this year, but I was there last year and was at Randy's parties. They're always the best.
Yes, me too. Yeah. I dressed up like Coco Chanel, or what, Chanel a Coco Co.
Yeah.
Yes, in honor of NFTs. So that was, I dressed up like a ninja punk girl. And it was not a fancy dress party. I just did that.
Yeah, it's important to have fun, you know, and I would say that, you know, one of the things that Randy's talking about is that, Bitcoin is an informational commodity. So as a result, you know, it gets a lot of protections that you could, you know, align with like the First Amendment and things like that maybe some other protections or some other assets like a security asset might not get, you know, and it's important that there is some regulation around those securities, because, you know, otherwise it's really easy to fall prey to some, you know, schemes that have been sort of well established over time. But the declaration of Bitcoin as a commodity gives it this it's a really important definition for Bitcoin to have. And you know, in order to remain a commodity, just like gold, I can't decide that, you know, I sell Randy some gold today, and then, you know, if I was actually a wizard, like, you know, not those guys on stage, but if I was somehow was able to wizardly change all of the properties and turn what I just sold him into lead, then is that a commodity? Because, you know, I would argue no, because it was something that was able to be changed outside of, you know, the owner's control. And unfortunately, that's what you have with some of these other blockchain assets, BTC being one of them. So if they all of a sudden decided that there's 31 million Bitcoins that exist now, because guess what? We run the network and we have all the Sybil nodes, then I think that might be their decision. I wouldn't agree with it, but I don't think it's possible to say that decision and that power is consistent with remaining a commodity, because a commodity needs to be fixed. What I get, or its definition needs to be fixed. And what I get today needs to be true, you know, 30 years from now when I pass it down to my children. So yeah, I think that we're seeing this Bitcoin as a settlement layer, but as a settlement layer through a tokenized commodity network that's frictionless. And what you're seeing, especially at London Blockchain Conference, is a huge wake up call to massive enterprise. You know, our first speaker of the day was Chris Nagar Hansen, who did an absolutely amazing job. You know, he came on stage and just, you know, we're going to kill them if they think they're getting us way. You know, like it was like, you know, you try to stop blockchain, we'll get them. And so his energy level is just so high, and you know, like, and you know, and he's so passionate about it. He believes in it. And then immediately following him, we had the Secretary of the U.S. Navy, which is really important.
Kenneth Braithwaite.
Yep.
Yes.
And, you know, you have to be able to open those doors with you know, military. This technology can be, you know, used with all types of things, with securing data related to our troops and intelligence networks and things like that. I mean, absolutely, we want them as partners. And then immediately following the U.S. Secretary of the Navy, we had a senior partner at Bain Capital, talking about you know, this being, you know, should you be scared of blockchain? That was the question that he posed. And he said, it depends on, you know, are you thinking that it's just going to blow away? Then, yeah, you probably should be scared. But if you are like our viewers here at Be in the Moment, and you are staying tuned to these frequencies, what we're talking about, and how to use it to empower other people, then you're not scared of it, right? You are embracing this moment. If anything, it should be the people who are trying to keep us bottled down to our voices silent. They're the ones that should be afraid of it, because we're going to be out in the streets, you know, doing business with each other as we should, and and that's going to make a healthier community and a healthier economy.
Right. And I think the aspect that I love so much is the transparency with privacy enabled. So, as Bitcoin is a commodity, and we can say many of the cryptos in the crypto space, where, like Randy mentioned, people focus on price, number going up, those are assets, they say, and they could be regulated. But Bitcoin is a commodity network, you're saying, has that level of freedom to be used and to be used to the best of its ability through all the people, all hands on deck. And what I liked about the Bain and Company presentation today was the simplicity of the slides that he shared, where he focused so much on making this complex topic visually very precise and clear and easy to digest. So I took some photos with some people's heads in the way, but I'll be zooming in and cropping those shots and sharing them on LinkedIn so everyone can get learned up.
All for you.
Yes, exactly. So, Randy, you have also made some noise. You were making an exchange, I believe.
Yes.
What is this? This people, the Scammers Club, they were saying, what's that guy doing? So, what are you doing?
So I was running one of my BSV parties up in New York, and what happened is these guys were trying to sell me some security tokens that I've known for a really long time, and I'm like, how are you guys selling security tokens in New York? I mean, aren't security tokens like illegal? And no, we got it out of El Salvador. We got somebody out of El Salvador. Like, I want to know more about this. So my other buddy actually invested a little bit in their company and opened them wide up. And then they're trying to sell me on their company. I'm like, I want to know more about this. So finally they're like, well, we'll introduce you. We'll let you talk to our lawyer if you don't believe it. I'm like, okay. So I talked to the lawyer. It's like, what is this? How is this possible? He's like, well, you want this? I'm like, okay. So I called my buddy up. I'm like, listen, it's only going to cost this much to get all these licenses, full exchange licenses.
Wow.
So we just went for it without really thinking it through. And then now we're stuck trying to put together an exchange.
Oh,
And
okay.
it seemed like a good idea at the time. And I mean, it's still a good idea because, having these licenses in New York or somewhere else would cost a fortune, and, we made some inroads. We went down to El Salvador, and I've introduced the Wyoming DAO, the way they're doing Wyoming DAOs with the votable shares as tokens. I introduced that to the lawyer. Then he's introducing that to the lawmakers. So we're actually molding the law in El Salvador. And I really believe that people in the BSV community should have a say in what's going on because they're really at the forefront of what's going on with law and crypto. I mean, they took it to the next level and said, okay, it's equal to fiat. That if you want to use Bitcoin in a transaction, maybe not BSV yet, but if you want to use Bitcoin, it's not really defined, that they have to accept it, that people have to accept it as a form of payment. So it's equal to the US dollar or the El Salvadorian dollar. That's huge. Nobody's done that yet. They're on the forefront.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of the BTC crowd get really excited about that. A lot of the people I followed, they've had given awards out to the president of El Salvador for making that decision. But many of my friends and even others have said, isn't that putting the people at risk when they have such a high price fluctuation of BTC to then make that the currency? How could the people afford it, the regular people? So
there was a couple of big exchange companies that moved in and backed this whole move. So when they get the Bitcoin, it's immediately transferred into a currency, whether it's US dollars. They have this liquidity pools. So the vendor really doesn't take a risk. They accept the Bitcoin and it's immediately transferred in their bank. Their banks literally can take Bitcoin in the bank at the banking level, which is huge. I mean, our banks don't do that. So that being said, all the banks in El Salvador have been cut off from the rest of the banks in the world. Like the IMF and everybody's like, no, you can't do this. And they're like, yes, we can. So it's it's really a funny situation going on.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
A moment in history.
It's
for
a moment in
sure.
history, but I really feel strongly that we should be involved in this, like 100%. Even if even if they don't like it, what we represent, we should be down there representing 100%. If they have these laws in place, then we should be pushing out our wallets, our stuff, because I mean, they have the main wallet for the official wallet. The Chivo wallet is the main government wallet, but there's alternate wallets coming out, and there's room. There's no taxes on any Bitcoin related business that starts up down there. No taxes on any tech companies, tech manufacturing. We've eliminated all taxes for that, and they just want people to come down and rebuild their country as a tech hub.
And why?
And why? Because it was a shithole before. Excuse my language. It was a very, very dangerous place. It was the murder capital of the world, and now it feels safer than New York City.
Wow.
I walk around, see this gold chain. I walk around in the worst barrio in the middle of the night. It was like 1 a.m. I'm walking with my partner. We're walking down these alleyways. People are selling stuff. They're tin roofs. People playing cards. People looking at us. Nobody made a move on us. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, nobody's making a move. Nobody's even acting weird that we're like walking through this thing. Nobody's speaking English. Everybody's they're cooking on the side of the road. Yes. It looks like you would get killed. Like 10 years ago, you would have been killed there.
Yeah, but the good thing you're looking for is always down an alley. I find dark alley.
I mean, it's incredible what's going on down there. It's totally incredible.
Wow. Well, you'll have to take some footage and share it with our audience. So, Brett, one thing that I'm most interested in these days is the Ordinals. So, Ordinals is very popular. Kurt and I were talking about it earlier, and I wonder what's your take on everything Ordinals?
Yeah, yeah. Ordinals are an amazing phenomenon. I was just talking to Joshua Hensley, and he's really bullish, of course, and he said, in very plain and simple terms, hyper Bitcoinization is here. Whether you like it or not, that's what Ordinals has brought in. And yeah, so we're excited to see its development. What I love about it is the ability for it to be cross-chain. So you have, on Litecoin or on BTC or on any of these proof of work chains, you can pretty much use this standard for tokenization. And it's great. It's phenomenal. So we're excited to see that. We're going to be launching something really soon with Ordinals for hand cash. So check that out, the Champions of Otherworld Magic. So that's the Coon battles, and yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's a Hearthstone style game that's being put together, data on chain. So utility being the driver, and as a long-term Magic the Gathering player, I'm so excited to see what's possible with a collectible digital trading card game that's being, I've been able to see some of the development. It's phenomenal. It looks great. The art's great. And yeah, you'll recognize some of the artwork from the team that made the Twetch eggs. Yeah, so shout out to the artists behind that project. But it's going to be top tier, and I'm really excited for its launch.
Yes.
Real quick question: do you think the eggs are ever going to hatch?
No, I don't think the eggs are going to hatch. And there was a strong effort put forth by the team that developed those eggs to develop them into a game. You're going to be seeing a little bit more about the development of that game as it launches out on hand cash, but yeah, the project just wasn't finding the traction, especially now with the switch to these other chains that a lot of those teams are going towards. They don't have time to develop it on BSV, and so what you're seeing is the creators that are sort of seeing their innovation get stymied, and so I think, returning to that original concept of the utility, right? It's not just about speculating on a JPEG and then rugging when you're the one that's running the marketplace. But it's really about giving out the tools for people to build themselves, to create, to innovate, and then to exchange freely, and that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Hey! So, one more song. I just would like to share with our audience, our listening, viewing audience, our moment here. We are surrounded by Westminster Abbey and the Houses of Parliament. Just beyond this window, I see beautiful architecture and the flag hoisted up above the tower there. And to our right is the Westminster Abbey, and we see the Union Jack up ahead, and the gold tiers of this the spires of the Westminster Abbey and Houses of Parliament. So it's such an honor for us to be here, focused on this topic of the commodity of Bitcoin being utilized by governments such as, let's say, the UK. And one thing that is really popular these days is talk of CBDC. And I know that a lot of people will say, at least in my neighborhood, they'll say, oh no, CBDCs, the government will control everything. But what they're not aware of, which I do try to say, is that with Bitcoin, genuine BSV, the Bitcoin has the capability to be both with transparency and privacy simultaneously. If you read the white paper, you can see the section, I think it's maybe section 7 or 8, it's labeled privacy. And you can see how it's an immutable ledger, but with privacy enabled. So this is the magic of Bitcoin itself. And as Kristen Egerhansen was saying, rah! Yes. So we're running out of battery, but we just want to say we love you and welcome to join us at CoinGeek London, the London Blockchain Conference 2023. Okay, so go. You can subscribe on the CoinGeek YouTube channel or just register with the links that I'm sharing for the virtual pass. And you can see all the sensational, fantastic, and brilliant speakers happening for the next 3 days. Ciao!